stars come out, that's when you hear the sound echo from all around. Sing la lune.
Hey everybody, it's Hannah. It's Wednesday, 6:30 Pacific time. I'm here in Los Angeles, and it's actually my last live stream on Behance. Like I said last week, December 16, it's going to be the last live stream on Behance for everybody. And today is my last one. So what I decided to do is kind of like do an overview about stuff that we did the last 4.5 years together. Maybe even thank everybody for coming and joining me. We started, I think it was on Mondays, and then we moved to Tuesdays, and then we moved to Wednesdays. Most of the time was 6 or 6:30 Pacific time, because it's perfect time for me after coming back from work, and not that late for the East Coast, and actually great for people that join in from Europe and sometime in the morning. So hopefully people will come and join me today. I'm going to look at the chat if there's any question, and we're going to talk a little bit about what are my plans for next. Am I going to live stream somewhere? Am I going to do some more tutorials? And yes, my plan is yes, I'm going to do probably on YouTube or maybe other social media, maybe small vignettes on Instagram, not TikTok, that's not me, but maybe some other stuff like that. And yes, I'm not gonna go away, so hopefully you guys going to join me, follow me, and hopefully I'll be able to continue the creative stuff that we're doing all together. So what I'm going to do today, I kind of decided to go over a presentation that I did, and I did it for few clients over the last few years, kind of explaining to them what is the Adobe ecosystem, what do we use Adobe to do all the creative stuff, and what am I going to do when I decide to be an artist or creative artist or marketer or designer. What am I doing in order to kind of understand where to go and what to do with everything that we have. So I'm looking here at the chat to see if some people are coming, and if you're coming, let me know where you are joining me from. I also going to put in the chat something that I'm going to do actually next week, which I'm going to present for another user group here in LA, and it's going to be at 6 p.m. Pacific time. So I put in there a link if you guys want to join. You're welcome to join me next week on Tuesday, and we're going to do some stuff on Adobe Illustrator. So for now, I'm going to go and share my screen. So I'm moving, and hopefully we're not going to stop in the middle, and I'm going to share my screen. So what you see here on my screen, it says enhance your creativity with Adobe Creative Cloud. I wrote it all starts with an idea, and I call it Creativity for All. And this is actually a quote that I took from the Adobe site, and it says Adobe Creative Cloud gives you the world's best creative apps and services, so you can make anything you can imagine whenever you are inspired. And I did the whole presentation, this one in Adobe InDesign, and I created a PDF from it. I also have it all published online, so people can go in and click actually on the links where we have. So if I go into Creative Cloud, I'm just going to go back. If I went back here to the link over here, it will take you directly to Creative Cloud, and you can see if you want to do anything with it, you can go in and look at the stuff. I'm just going to go in and go to a full screen, so it's going to be a lot easier. And I'm not going to click on this link right now, But if I go back here, that's what I assembled together, and I said it is a hub for creative. Why did I do this presentation? Let's talk about it for a second. There was a reason. One of the things that I do on a yearly basis, I'm teaching in USC, Annenberg School and Communication at the Digital Lounge, which is a place for students to come and do creative stuff. And we are giving them the Creative Cloud membership for free, and we also teach them the Adobe certification test. But some of them are coming sometime to our seminars and classes without knowing why are they coming in and what classes that they're going to do. Like if you're a marketing or public relation or in the journalism school at Annenberg, they kind of don't understand what should I do and what class shall I take. So then I decided I'm gonna do this presentation. I didn't invent anything. I copy and pasted some stuff from the Creative Cloud site. I wrote some stuff by myself, and I kind of gathered it together so everybody knows what it is. And then when they have to decide what to do and how to continue something, they know which application they want to start. Are they in the video? So they know they're gonna like maybe study After Effects with us, Premiere, Audition, and then if they are in printmaking or they are doing some collateral for print, they know they can do Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign. If they are in the photography for journalism, maybe we'll teach them Lightroom. So things like this are really important. And of course, the last few months, we started also to show them Adobe Express, which is a hub for everything. If they want to do something maybe not as creative and they don't want to use Photoshop or Illustrator, they can actually go back and use Adobe Express. So here I explain that I call it the creative playground. This is mine. Whenever somebody asking me, what's your job? I said, well, I'm in a playground most of the time. Love my job because I teach something that I really like and I care. And for me, it's kind of like I'm in a playground, and this time it is my creative playground. So from desktop and mobile apps, from graphics to the photography and UX design. So the collection is more than 20 apps that will enable you to create, share, review, and design. But in addition to that, you can have also services that people really don't know about, and you'll be surprised. I know I'm on Behance right now, but when I talk to my students, they don't know Behance, even though they have Creative Cloud. They say, well, what is Behance? What do I need it? And I'm telling them, well, let's talk about it and let's see how we're going to use Behance to help us kind of like maybe get a job or all kind of stuff like that and do different kind of things with it. So if I go back, here is collaboration between application. So I created this image all the way down here, and you can see here is my iPad. This one is my laptop, and this is my desktop. And purposely, I have the same images in there. So I captured the screen to show kind of like the same images because I wanted everybody to take advantage of the stuff that we have. So Creative Cloud Library, share color, style, brushes, and images, create brushes, shapes, colors, and patterns with Adobe Capture, and use them in Fresco, Illustrator, and Photoshop. Seamless workflow with Adobe XD, Adobe Illustrator, and Adobe Photoshop. Use artboard from Illustrator in Adobe Dimension. If you still use that, it still exists, it's still there, so you can still use that. Share collaboration with Adobe mobile apps. Save files directly to the cloud, Illustrator, and Photoshop. And of course, now you can do it in InDesign. Collaborate with video and applications. I did this presentation before, so I didn't really mention here any artificial intelligence or AI yet, but maybe in the end, I'm going to mention it as well. So now working with Adobe Creative Cloud. So I gave the student some kind of a sample here of a library that I actually shared with them. So I told them you can access the element in every Adobe app, and then you can do step-by-step project and can start doing the stuff with it. So this one is the demo. If I click over here, it will go to my area, and then you'll see my Adobe Creative Cloud. They were able to go in and share the library that I gave them with the logo element and start creating something. So that's kind of like really cool for them to start working. And I see Barbara. Hey Barbara, no problem. Yeah, it's all good. What I decided to do today, I'm just going to do a small presentation about the Adobe ecosystem, because it's almost like kind of like my goodbye today, and it's my last stream. And then I'm going to go over to my area on Behance and look at the project that we did, and invite everybody to join me soon if I start streaming in another portal after the holidays. So it's kind of like a bittersweet goodbye, because I really enjoyed the last 4.5 years that everybody was with me. I enjoyed having you weekly, Barbara. It was so much fun. I got to know so many people, so many creative people, and I got to know the creative community, which I will continue using Behance, and maybe now I'll have more time to upload my more of my project and not just concentrate on live streaming. So yes, of course, we are going to stay in touch. So this one is a Creative Cloud library. And then if you click here on the assets, and I actually can send everybody the file also. So basically, if I go back here, this is an information of the Adobe desktop application over here. I kind of cut and put in, if you can see the desktop, the mobile application. Some of them maybe are not obsolete, but you can see that people are bringing in and out different kind of stuff. So you can see I still have Spark Video, which doesn't exist anymore, but on the app you can have Spark Video and Spark Page. This is Creative Cloud, Adobe Express, of course, and other Adobe application. Then is the web application, which I don't know if a lot of you are using the web application. I actually have to revisit it. I almost did that today, but I didn't use it for a long time, so I felt like I'm kind of rusty with that. But I know there is Photoshop on the web and Illustrator on the web, and this is something that some people are experimenting with it. There's Adobe Firefly, of course, Adobe Live, which I highly recommend for everybody that follows me to go and listen to Adobe Live. They have a daily schedule, which is really awesome. And then, of course, the Substance Asset, Substance 3D Community, and you have Adobe Font, Adobe Express over here, Lightroom, Frame.io, and more. So now, the main thing that I actually concentrating most of the time is Illustrator, Photoshop, and InDesign. This is actually the stuff that I live and breathe with. Now I'm doing also Acrobat, and of course I'm doing Express. And you saw me before streaming on Fresco and Dimension, and then I did for a while XD. I'm not a videographer, but I started actually to do some videos, and especially I'm doing videos in Adobe Express. Not too much with Premiere, but maybe in the future, I'm going to start brush up a little bit. So over here, you can see that I'm talking about what is Illustrator, Photoshop, and InDesign. Why was that so important to me? Because I had some students that coming to my class, and they were interested in creating videos, and then they came all of a sudden to my Illustrator and Photoshop class, which they can do small videos in Photoshop, but that's not completely as professional. And some people in the marketing department needed to do some catalogs, and they were in my Photoshop class, and I told them, hey, you have to know Photoshop, of course, to do some stuff with images, but to create the catalog, we're gonna do that in InDesign. So I kind of wanted to teach them and show them the flow of the ecosystem. I'm not sure this link is working, so it doesn't, but this was a link that you see here. If I copy and paste it right now, it will take you to a place that I have an express presentation about workflow with Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign. And actually, I live streamed it, I think, 2 years ago. We did a threefold brochures together where we created the logo in Illustrator. We adjusted the images and created beautiful collages in Photoshop. And then we did the layout in InDesign. So it was kind of a complete work with the three of them together. So the photography application, of course, there's Lightroom, Photoshop, and Lightroom Classic. So almost, yay, InDesign. Yes, I know, Barbara, that's your thing. And actually, I'm doing a book right now on InDesign for a client, which is very, very exciting. It's going to be, I think, around 500 pages. I started to work today on the template, and hopefully it will work awesome the way the other book that I did to the same person. So again, you can see that you can get some time repeating client coming back to you if you work great with them and the job is really great. And yeah, I would let you know, and believe me, I will ask you some question, I'm pretty sure, while I'm actually doing it. So I'll be in touch. So anybody who's a photographer here that listening to what I'm talking about, I highly recommend to dive into Lightroom. So you do Lightroom on the web and Lightroom mobile. And of course, you still have Lightroom Classic, and it works seamlessly with Photoshop, which is really cool. So the video and film, it's actually not my expertise. I work and I started doing videos in Express, and this is one of the reasons I got so excited, because all of a sudden I can take a video and I can adjust it in Adobe Express without feeling so stressed, which I am feeling very stressed in Premiere. So again, and then in film and videos too, you have also After Effects, which is kind of like an amazing program to create logos and create flying logos and create transitions. I call it Photoshop on steroid, basically, and it's really cool. So now, what can we do with Adobe Express? And then if you followed me the last few months or the last few years, you know I did a lot of stuff with Adobe Express. And I can see, oh, Barbara said she's done 3 books, but do the best for help. I'll tell you, my problem sometimes is with the page numbers, and what I'm thinking now, shall I separate it to chapters and then combine it in the book panel, or do it in one flowy kind of like one document? And I'm going back and forth between these two, and there is a reason for that, because when you do it in a book, you cannot see the flow all the way, and then you have to do it as maybe a PDF. And if it's one document, it is actually, you can go in and see the flow. But at the moment, I'm building just the template because the author did not finish to write the book, but he has some kind of ideas. And I think around middle of January, we'll start working on the book. So now, what do you do with Adobe Express? So Adobe Express integrated media creation applications for mobile and web. You can it's part of Creative Cloud. Of course, you can get a free subscription. Of course, all the schools are using it. And by the way, if you're teaching in elementary school now, or some other schools not higher education, there's a special subscription for K to 12, which looks a little bit different and some things are not there, so it's good to check it out. And basically this one is actually live. If I go back here, I can go to express.adobe.com right now and see what's going on over here. So now Adobe Firefly, of course, if you're gonna go back here, we all know about Firefly. Oops, why did I go there already? And it is getting better and better while I'm talking, so highly recommend. We are in version 3.0 with the images are so much better and there's so much information here. I might actually jump over and look at it a little bit after that. So now here it is, Behance. And the reason I did it, and I mentioned it actually before, again, when I start doing, and I go to different places to do presentation for clients and for commercial clients and also sometime for Adobe. And the first thing I'm going to ask some people who wants to be creative, I'm asking them, where do you take your inspiration? Where do you go to look for images? And most of them don't answer me like Behance. They will say they're going online, they're going to Instagram, they're going to different kind of places on Google to see what's going on, what other artists are doing. And when I actually introduce to them and say, did you go to Behance? This is your creative playground. They say to me, what is Behance? And that's why I decided to do that. So I kind of mention here what is Behance. For me, it's a social media network for creatives. It is part of Creative Cloud, so it's part of a service. You can have another extra service now for pay, but you can also have it for free, part of your Creative Cloud. You can discover curated galleries of selected artwork, and then you can follow a lot of designers and artists. And this is what I do a lot. Before I have a job, I look at Behance, I kind of type the subject, and then I start looking to get inspiration and see what other people are doing. You can also do your Adobe portfolio as part of the service, and then you can start sharing. So I have actually, you can share directly files. I know some of the things that I'm not gonna do anymore in the future, but if I click here, it will go to Behance, and we'll go to Behance in a minute. Another service which is really awesome, it is Adobe Fonts. And then I actually always like to explain to my student and my client the amazing service that you have here, part of your Creative Cloud. I even don't know the number, but thousands of Adobe fonts that are actually free for you to use. And then what I like there is more than that, I actually like to see how they construct it. So you can see here on the left side, there are tags. So if you have a project and you really do not know which typeface you want to do, you go into the tags and you can see, do you want to have friendly typefaces? Do you want to have clean typefaces? Do you want to have rough Art Deco? So like today, I was looking for like comics looking typefaces, and I just typed it there, and tons of typefaces kind of like scroll down, and then I downloaded it directly from the cloud and start using them. It doesn't take space from your hard drive because it is in the cloud, so you can use it, and it gives you a lot of place for inspiration. So I might go into Adobe Fonts in a minute just to talk to you about, but look at this. You can really learn a little bit more about typography, which is super, super important when you are a designer. For me, if I don't like the typeface or it's not readable, I'm not reading it. So typography is really important, and I feel like using Adobe fonts really helps you to understand. I almost getting like information and almost like a class about it, because it's going to tell you different kind of things, what to use, what is trending right now. It's really, really cool, and I highly recommend to use that. Of course, the other part that costs extra money, Adobe Font is part of your membership, but now you paying extra money is Adobe Stock, but this is also amazing. You can go in and there's some Adobe Stock images for free, some videos for free, some 3D for free, depending. And if you have a client and they don't really know what they want to use, you can use some stuff from Adobe Stock. And of course now we have AI, so we can have a combination between Adobe Stock and AI as well for project that we have. So what else do we have here? You have Creative Cloud at adobe.com to learn, and this is the support videos. So on top of having videos on Behance and having learning video and other part of applications and private people, Adobe also enables you to have support videos within the application right now. So if you open Photoshop, and we'll open it in a minute, you will see that I can go right away to the Learn area and start looking and see what's going on. And then you can start doing it step by step. So it's really amazing tutorial. And if I go back here to Creative Cloud adobe.com, you can see, and I might go to it when I finish this kind of presentation in a minute. Barbara says, typography is fascinating to me. Yes, it is to me too. And if I have more time, I always read some stuff about typography, listen to videos about typography, seeing how people using typefaces. I'm getting a lot of books about typography, because it's really, really awesome when the typefaces are really clear and important. That's when it is kind of like makes the entire project better. We have another area that I'm part of it actually, is the Adobe community, which we have people sitting for free on the forum. They are volunteers like me, and we're doing a lot of answering about some problems that we have. And then in the forum you have some videos and information and everything like that, and then you can go in and discover the stuff over there. Another thing that when I start talking about the ecosystem is basically talking to people about creating a brand for themselves, either privately for themselves when they're starting to be creative artists, or for a job that they have. Just gonna take a little break for a minute and see if we have any people coming in and having any questions, and I'm gonna continue in a minute. So why is it important for me, just for me as a designer, or to tell my student to create their own brand and what to look for? Even if you create for yourself a logo, or you want to do something about your business, it's important to create a brand identity, because that will make your brand recognized. The design plays a key role in it. Brand identity consists of overall brand design that consists color and the way you use it in the design, logo and a brand name, font and style that you use in a campaign, the uses, of course, of typeface, and a brand message. So the main purpose of it is to make the brand easily recognizable and memorable. So it's also part of a consistency as well. So here I have an example about, let's say, iconic brand like Nike. And you can see it started from a certain one from 64 to 1971. Then they changed the brand. Then they changed again Nike and the swoosh. And now it is the swoosh. So when you are looking at a shoe that has a swoosh, nobody has to tell you what it is, right? Everybody knows that it is Nike. And that's an example of a great brand that you create. And when you start working with Adobe application, you start using them to create your brand. So you can create a style guide in Illustrator or in InDesign. And if you're using Adobe Express, you can also create your brand in there and move it to everywhere, and then also place some stuff in your library so the brand is really consistent. Another example is Coca-Cola. Of course, I took two main big brands that are so important. I didn't take something smaller, but look at that. It's the Coca-Cola and the typeface of the Coca-Cola. So you can see from far away the red typeface, and you can see it even in a different language, and you know it is Coca-Cola. And then I have here the story about the brand of Coca-Cola and how it is started, and then how they developed that with that. So this is actually an example for something a little bit bigger, but you have to think about brand yourself, brand the stuff for your client. And I teach a lot of people that are studying communication in USC, and knowing what the brand is super important to them. So I gave some elements over here. What do I want to do when I create my brand identity? So I have logo and fonts, and you can see here I just did an example of a certain logo for a company. The colors, they are consistent. Visual elements that you can get your inspiration from, and the design style that you're going to work with. And it's really important to stay with the same design style and all the element, so everybody is going to recognize it and it is going to be consistent. That's super important to emphasize that. So when you start something like this, you want to explore, research, and then design. So the design brief of the project explaining the concept and an idea. I always tell myself or my student before doing anything, even for just homework about a project, that I want to start with a concept. Before even you sitting in front of your computer, maybe you want to start kind of drawing with even stick figure and look at the concept that you're going to do. So a good design template, it's like a map that guides you where to go and how to continue. Because if you don't have it, you can get lost. If you're just sitting in front of your computer right away, but maybe sometime you do the design brief or some drawing directly on the computer, but you kind of want to do the research to look at who is the client, what's the target market of the campaign. Is it the audience? Are the kids, adult, high school, community project? That's super important. Based on that, you're going to choose your images, you're going to choose the colors, you're going to choose the wording, and you're also going to choose the style and the typeface. Like for example, the book that I'm going to design, it's geared to high school students that are doing science. But it has a lot of fun stuff in it. It's not as serious. So I'm looking for heading that look almost like cartoonish. So it's going to show that it's not heavy textbook. Something more like experimental and fun. And that's my first job, is to look around and see the right concept that I'm going to do. So you want to assess also your audience before start looking for images. You can create a design brief and anything that you have. So mood board, I usually use it in Photoshop, and lately, believe it or not, I'm using it in Adobe Express and creating almost like a mood board and storyboard in Adobe Express, and then I can bring sample of images, color, typeface in 1 or 2 pages just to show. And of course, I'm showing the typefaces that I have. Another thing is the color that you create for your project. It's really important to start thinking about color theory, about colors and the perception of a design, that you're looking at colors and basically the tones of the image and the presentation that you have. And here is just an example of something that I did for this logo, and I created the logo for a client years and years ago, and then I made it live again while I created this project. So this is kind of like a sample logo treatment. Usually I will do it in different pages or artboards, not together, but for the presentation I put them kind of all together. And then Nature Water Products and Herbs, that was the company, something to have water and herbs and things like this. And then I did it a little bit different over here because the client wanted to do something circle and like a stamp. And then basically this is what it is. So after finishing that, I'm going in and diving into some of other stuff that's part of the ecosystem. So some of my project was to show people how to use Adobe Firefly, how to use text to image, generative fill, and text to vector. And I also organized for them the project file. So if I click over here, and I'm going to go back here to the project file, it says it's not in there right now, which is okay. And I'm not going to go in there, but the project files were there. And then I jumped to Adobe Express and showed generative AI, quick actions, and templates. And then I went back to Photoshop. And then in here, I start explaining how we're going to use some stuff in Photoshop. And since it was like an hour seminar to show you the ecosystem and Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign, I chose some very simple stuff to demonstrate, like remove background, blending mode, oops, I have a spelling mistake over here, adjustment layers, and neural filters. And then this is one of the projects that I show them how to create. And again, we created this project I think 2 years ago in one of my live streams, and we can go and look at that because it's there. And then I went in and jumped into Illustrator, and in Illustrator we worked with shapes, layers, and artboard. So we created a new project. We looked at layers, image trace, and transformation, and just creating simple icons, which we did stuff like that also in our live stream. And over here is transformation tool and object repeat. Of course, I should go in and update it because I did this presentation last year, and now we have so many new things that we can really work and do stuff so fun. And then in the end, oh, I don't have my InDesign because I showed them how to create a template in InDesign, but I supply them with different kind of links over here. And if I go to one of them, you can see over here, I'm going to go back here, and this is a brand identity that I show them how to work with a coffee company. And look at that, looking at a brand identity that you create, and then you create a business card, and the back on the business card you have some other stuff. That's how you can present it, maybe even a stamp over here, and then other stuff or collaterals that are part of this brand design that I have over here. And then I can go back here, and then over here you can see here another one for branding, another really good site and then I went from Behance and I looked at the stuff, and look what I have over here. So now I'm inside Behance, and this is why I like to tell students to go to Behance right away and start looking for stuff for inspiration. So look at that, the background. They're giving you the visual feel of the stuff that you have over here. They're showing you different kind of typefaces, primary colors, gradient colors, headers, and look at stuff and the typefaces and all the stuff that they're using over here to create the stuff here. And even have brand illustration over here, and you can see that it's also consistent and beautiful. And then you can go in and kind of like investigate it while you're working with that. I have some other stuff over here about colors and create the color identity and stuff for visual identity. A lot of little things here. So kind of like the student really started to kind of look at stuff and really understood where I'm coming from. So with that said, I'm just going to go out of here for a minute, and then I'm going to jump over to actually my Behance over here. So if I'm going to go in and jump over here, and you can see I'm in Behance right now, and this is basically my Behance within Behance. You can see over here that I have all the videos that I created with you the last 4.5 years. So I think I didn't miss so many weeks. I was here for most of the weeks. Every now and then I took off a little bit, but you can see over here that if I go more and more, and you see some stuff, and some of the things that I actually mentioned in my presentation are really in here. And you can see it's stuff on Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, Adobe Express, and also Fresco over here that I did, and painting and everything, and you can see that. I don't know if you can download it if you're not a premium user. I know I can download the files here when I go to them, and I can go and click here and download it, but I'm planning to go in and download some of the images and the files that I have and then put it on my YouTube. So I'm gonna let you guys know, and it is promised me that the live stream area will stay there, so you can still go in to live stream and see all the stuff. We're not going to live stream directly, but you will be able to go. This area is not going to go away. So hopefully you can go and start looking in that. With that said, I'm going to jump over to Photoshop for a minute. And I'm just going to go in to the beginning over here to the welcome page, just to do like a little review over here, because the last few weeks we did a lot of stuff with Photoshop, and you can still see it over here. This is Photoshop 2025. And then if I go to the gift package over here, which I call it the gift, look what I have over here. Distraction removal, that we saw it a few weeks ago. Improve generative fill, improve generative expand, generative similar, generate background, and I have the stuff what's new in beta. So again, new Photoshop beta features that you have over here. So if I'm going to go back here, you can download the app right away, and one of the things that you see there is seamlessly a 3D object to Photoshop design and more, and go and do substance review, which is really, really cool, and I highly recommend to do that. I'm gonna go and jump over for a second to Illustrator, and you can see again the same little gift is here, and we have object on a path. We have enhanced image trace over here, Project Neo, which is beta, which I highly recommend to look at that. Mockup that we did already here in our live stream, text to pattern that we did, contextual taskbar that it's improving, and jumping over and taking stuff directly from Illustrator. And if I go back here, it will just gonna go, and if you click explore, it's going to go into Adobe Express, and you start exploring the stuff that you have there. And while we did a lot of stuff, look what we have here. Got a nice facelift over here. You can start from your content. You can do generative AI, explore quick actions. And I'd love to go back here and do it again. And that's where it is. And look what you have. You have quick actions over here. And some of them sooner or later are probably going to go in and be part of it directly. But you can see generate the text effect right away. So if I have something like this, of course I can go back here and then giving me some example right away. And then if I click over here on the example over here, in a minute you can see that I have a nice looking typeface and things like this. Highly recommend to jump over there and go in and start exploring all the stuff. And then yes, you can go in and click on animation, and now you can actually animate all. So if I have more than one thing already, which I don't, but you can see right away, if I have other stuff, it animates everything for you, and you don't need to kind of click on each area and just work with that. The other thing that we have here is in design, and I always click on the house or the home, and then if I click on the little GIF, you can see generative expand now, text to image, which is new in InDesign, export InDesign document now. This is absolutely new to Adobe Express. Create math expression with MathML, export HTML packages, and we ask, we deliver, you ask, we deliver. So if I go back here, it's gonna tell you like math, craft and edit math expression on your canvas using MathML, adjust the size, color of your expression, visually cohesive and easy to read. So it's kind of cool for people are interested in that. And text to image really help you if you want to visualize some stuff that you have and you're really not sure. You can go and try it right now. And we did it in one of our stuff, and look what I have over here. I'm just gonna say got it. And then if I'm going to go back to the area here and I don't want this image, I'm gonna go back here and I'm going to say taco plate with salsa and avocado. Who knows? And then I have to agree, and let's see if I'm getting something a little different here. So you have more stuff that it's a little more advanced in Photoshop, but if you are stuck within an area, look what I have over here, and I can start, and I'm not saying I'm going to use that in my area, but I'm going to go back here and look at this. Each time I click on something, I can actually go back here and work with it. And then if I go to a normal mode, I can go back here and put another one, and I have another one over here, and I can decide which one I'm going to use. Do I have to use it? Not all the way. Can I use just colors from that? Absolutely. And that's when I go to my swatches panel, and I might go into my color theme, and then I'm just gonna click over here and look at that. I do have my color theme. I can do colorful color, bright color, dark color, deep or muted, and I can bring it back directly to my swatches and look at that. And now I can start continuing my design. So I do use that for really inspiration all the way, but that's something new that you have inside InDesign. And then text to image is really kind of cool. You have an advanced area over here, and then you can even have a reference image right now, and text and effects. So Firefly is actually inside InDesign right now. Firefly is now inside Adobe Illustrator, and Firefly is now, of course, inside Adobe Photoshop. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to say it's going to be art. And I'm going to go and do a reference image. And I'm just going to go and click on that as a reference image. And then I'm going to go in and make it beautiful. And now I'm going to go in and generate, and let's see what we are getting. Of course, you can get also sample prompt over there, so you can start kind of playing with the stuff that you have. And now I'm going to go back here, and I have 1 and 2 and 3 over here, so you can see that you have different kind of stuff there. So I'm going to go and look at this one here, but maybe I want to go and have this kind of taco, or this kind of taco over here, and this kind of taco, because I added some sample images to it. I can go into an area that's completely empty, and then I'm going to go to sample prompt, and then I'm going to go to Japanese garden over here, and Japanese matcha ceremony in Sakura Garden 3D art minimalism. Wow, this is really cool, and I can go back here and play with it. So I highly recommend to go in and look at that. And then if I go in and click on another one, look at this one and look at that one. Can I take that, copy and paste it and download it and take it to Photoshop and start combining some stuff? Absolutely I can, and come back to it. So one of the things that I want to tell you is the AI is not the end of the road. It's just something for inspiration that I'm using it to create something later. I'm just going to copy it, and I'm going to go back here, and then I'm just going to go into File and New, and then I'm just going to do Create, and then in a minute I am going, it takes a moment, and then let's say I paste it and I have it here. So another thing that I want to go back here, of course I would love it that I can go in and create a mock-up from it. I could have taken it directly to Photoshop and removed the background and then bring it back. But if I wanted to create a mock-up, it will assess the image that I have, and maybe it is too big right now, and then we're gonna look in a minute and see what's going on. I have a lot of application actually open here, so it takes a moment until it does it. And this is the mock-up here, and you see it doesn't really look good over here because I think the image is kind of weird, so it didn't really take it the way it is. To create a mock-up, it will be great that if you have like maybe an image or something else. But another thing that I could have done here, I could have pasted it, and I can go in and image trace it and create something else with it. I can go in and show the property panel over here to see what I can do. So I can jump and do different things. I can also copy it and then jump, of course, to Photoshop, and then I'm just gonna do File New. Maybe, oops, the last one that I did was a little bit bigger, but I'm gonna paste it, and I'm gonna paste it as a pixel, and look at that, not a good thing because it is really pixelated. Not gonna work with it. I'm gonna go into Open, and I'm going to not open, I'm gonna do File New. And then this time I'm gonna do Print, and I'm going to do Landscape, and then I'm gonna paste it. So now you can see it's looking a little bit better. So what can I do with it right now? I'm gonna go and paste it, and then again I can go and select subject, and of course I can remove background. And didn't look so good, but I removed the background. But because I'm here and I do have a mask, and I'm in Photoshop, so I can start going in and take away the stuff that I have. Of course, I'm going to use a different brush, so I can go back here and play with it, and then I can go and, so now it looks a little bit better, or maybe I have my tacos here. So really what I wanted to show you is the seamless stuff that I have from one place to another, and then I can go in here and I can move it to my library and go to Adobe Express and use that and continue drawing with the stuff that I have. So I can do different kind of things. I even here in Photoshop can do something that I do sometime, and then I'm gonna make that into index color, and then I'm going to make it maybe with 200 colors right now, which is okay. But now I'm going to go back here and create a color table, and then save the color table somewhere on my desktop. And now when I'm going to my swatches, and then these are my swatches now, I can actually go back here and import swatches. And if I go to my downloads and find the color table that I have, I can go back here, and it didn't show up here in my download for some reason, but I can actually, maybe it took a minute, let me see here, and let's say import swatches, not here. I should have done it, and then it is in my download, and I don't see it right now for some reason. And I think it was an untitled file. So I can go back here and make that a little smaller so it's not taking so much space. And then I'm going to make sure it is indexed, and I'm going to go back here to the color table right now, and I'm going to save, and I'm going to save, oh, I put it in my document instead. I'm going to save it on my desktop. And now I'm going over here to my swatch panel, and I'm going to say import colors, going to my desktop, and this is it. And now you can see the colors that I call it untitled are here, and this is actually the colors from the image. Again, seamless information between Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, Adobe Express, looking at the Adobe ecosystem and really playing with the correct things that we have. So if I'm just going to go back here for a second before I will say my real goodbye, I'm going to go back here and go to Adobe Fonts, and if I click over here, okay, it doesn't really go in there right now, but if I went into my Adobe Fonts over here, you can see what I mean if I'm going to go and play. And you can see now I looked for some fun typefaces before, and you see I found some typefaces that I wanted to use. So that's where I went before, and I have Captain Comics over here that I might use, Bada Boom that I might use, and Fight to Finish that I might use. And these are the typefaces that I looked for before to create for my image that I have. And now if I go back here, you can see that I have the styles, and that was I was talking to you before about. That's what I call it, a lesson in typography over here. Not really lesson, but a little idea how to use the stuff, how it is going to look within the area and within the type that you're going to use or the image, and look at that. You can see here, nice typeface over here to start using. So really, this is kind of like what I wanted to talk to you today. I kind of wanted to kind of like create almost like a summary of stuff that we did together. I wanted to do kind of like a summary of Adobe Creative Cloud ecosystem, and kind of like I don't know, entice you and maybe give you some inspiration when you start working with stuff right now. Start looking at all the elements within your creative stuff that you're going to use, because it's not like one thing in a room, it's the way you're using the tools. And if you want to do like a successful designer or marketer, you need to look at the ecosystem and to see how things relate to each other. So I never use one application only. I'm just going to use a combination of them and see how it turns around in my area that we have here. I want to see if you guys have any questions. I hope you guys are going to follow me soon in the future. I see some other people made some comments over here. And then I have my kind of like, all of a sudden I changed today my screen, and it says my Hana Digital Cafe. And then I'm thanking everybody for watching. And then be creative. Follow me on social media. Follow me on the Behance. After the holiday, I probably going to create a newer YouTube portal, because the one I have is pretty old, and start uploading some of the videos out there. And also I'm going to start streaming again, and I'm going to let you know, and I'm going to announce it via Instagram, so you can follow me. So I kind of want to thank you all for joining me for the last 4.5 years. It was wonderful to be around. It was a great ride. And Barbara, thank you so much for you. A special thank you for coming every week and being here with me, so I don't feel lonely. I know some people show up in and out, but a lot of times they don't talk to me so much. And also my style is that I don't talk to the people as much. I'm kind of geared and talking about what I'm showing. But I promise you, I'm going to have another portal for streaming probably after the holiday. I want to wish everybody an awesome holiday. Stay safe, keep creating, and we'll see you guys very soon. Thank you, everybody, for everything. It was a pleasure to spend some evenings, mornings, afternoon, and nights with all of you guys. Thank you. See you soon. Thank you, Barbara. You said I'm a good instructor. Thank you. You inspire me, really. Thank you.